welcome to City on a Hill Kids Church Online.
I'm Lola.
And I'm Jimmy.
Today we're going to be talking about prayer and fasting.
But that will be after time of worship.
You're watching Library Kids.
Don't worry about anything, instead pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Don't worry, instead pray. Don't worry, instead pray. Don't worry about anything, instead pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Don't worry, instead pray. Don't worry, instead pray.
Then His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus.
Don't worry, instead pray. Don't worry, instead pray. Instead pray. Instead pray.
Last time, we looked at the story from 2 Chronicles chapter 20. Do you remember? Okay, I'll remind you, for those of you that don't remember. It was about King Jehoshaphat. He was one of the good kings of Judah. One day, he was told that 3 kings, 3 kingdoms were coming up against him. They were coming to fight him, and he got scared. What was he going to do? So what he did was he told the whole nation of Judah to pray and fast. And that's exactly what they did. The people of Judah at some point gathered at the temple, just like how we gather in church. Anyway, they gathered at the temple and King Jehoshaphat prayed. He prayed out loud so that everybody could hear him. You know what happened in the rest of the story. A prophet stood up because God was speaking through that prophet and gave Jehoshaphat and the people instructions and comforted them and reassured them that everything was going to be all right. So King Jehoshaphat and his army went out to face his enemies. They went out to battle, but when they got there, they didn't even find a single enemy standing. Instead, what they did was to use 3 days to gather all the treasure that was left behind by these enemies. Where am I going with this story? Well, King Jehoshaphat asked his people to fast and pray. And as a church this week, we have all been asked to fast and pray. Grown-ups, and guess what? Children can also fast and pray. I hear some of you ask, what does it mean to fast? Well, to fast means that you miss eating and sometimes drinking. During the fast, you take extra time to pray. There are quite a number of examples of people who fasted and prayed in the Bible. We've already talked about Jehoshaphat asking the whole nation to pray. There's also Queen Esther who asked everybody to pray, but that's a story for another day. Then there was Daniel, there was Moses, and even Jesus himself. There are fasts where people don't eat anything for maybe a day or 3 days or even for 40 days. Like Moses and Jesus, they fasted for 40 days. There are also fasts where you maybe just eat vegetables and drink water at your normal meal times. There's no bread or wine, meat or chocolate. Just vegetables and water. So there are different ways of fasting. Coming to today, we can also fast by just maybe missing a meal. Maybe you'll miss lunch or miss dinner, or you can miss a snack. The important thing is that when you fast, you must pray. Apart from all the other times of the day that you pray a bit extra when you've missed your meal. So if you've missed, let's say, lunch, at that time, you pray. Or if you've missed a snack, you pray. So instead of eating, what are you doing? You are praying. During fast times, we find that we concentrate more on God. You know, when we pray, God answers our prayers. Always. He always answers our prayers. But the thing is that there are so many distractions that many a time we actually don't hear what God has to say. And if he's given any instructions, we end up not obeying. But during the time that we fast, we can hear God more clearly. And it's an opportunity actually to obey what he has asked us to do whenever we pray. Just like in the story of King Jehoshaphat and his army, God answered their fasting and prayer through that prophet, and King Jehoshaphat obeyed. And what ended up happening? They went and picked up loads and loads of treasure. I hope that you will try and fast with the rest of the church this week. There will be a list of things to pray for. And you know what? You can even add things to that list. You can miss a snack, don't eat that bag of crisps, and pray instead. I wonder what treasure you, or even me, will be picking up at the end of this prayer and fasting week. And that's the end of the story.
Hey guys, I am excited about coming to pray this coming week, and I'm going to be fasting as well, and maybe you will fast from something to help you focus on prayer. But focus can be the problem, can't it? When we're praying, we do tend to get distracted and our mind goes off on other things. So I thought this week, let's make something to help us keep focused when we pray. So you can see I've got this sort of little book here, and it's got the letters of pray, P, R, A, and then A, and then Y, and each letter stands for something, and this is a really popular way to pray at the moment. It comes from something called 24/7 prayer, and so P stands for pause, just taking a moment to stop, to breathe, to be quiet, to focus on the presence of God, that Jesus is here. So you can see I've written words around the P that will help us do that. So if my mind wanders and I think, oh, what was I doing? I can look back and think, oh yes, I'm focusing on God's presence. Then we have R, rejoice. When we come to God, it's so good just to take time thinking about who He is, dwelling on how amazing God is, how He has saved us, how He is King, and that helps us to rejoice, and that builds our relationship with God. So again, I've put some words to help me do that. Then the next one we've got is A, ask. And for that, I've just put some headings of things that I might want to ask God about this week, about my family, my friends, about church, and you might even write some individuals' names there who you want to pray for. And then the last one, Y, this stands for yield. Now, you might not know what that means, but it's very simple. It just means to give in to somebody else's point of view. So when we finish praying, rather than saying, right, God, you do all that for me, we want to say, actually, God, your way. I'm trusting you. I want it to be your plan and your way. So that's what yield means. So I can be having this in my hand. It'll stop me fiddling around with other things. I can hold this. And as I'm praying, if my mind drifts off, I can look back and say, oh yes, this is what I'm praying about just now. So super simple to make. First of all, you just need a piece of A4 and you're going to fold it in half again, and in half again. So you're folding it 3 times to be this size, and then if you cut those boxes out, there'll be 8 of them, but we only need 4. So then you will have 4 spare in case anything goes wrong. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to write the letters of pray. So first of all, we're going to write our letter P, and that stands for pause. And I'm choosing blue for pause because I feel that that's a sort of calming colour. Now, to make the next letter, the R, kind of look the same size and things, I'm just going to put that over the top. And I don't know if you can see through, but I can see the P through quite nicely. So for rejoice, I'm going to write the capital R, and I'm just going to go over, I'm going to use the P as a sort of guide so I can make my R in the same size and the same place, PR. And then I'll do the same for the other letters. So I'm going to do my A and my Y. For A, I'm using purple, partly just because I like purple, really. And that stands for ask. And then finally, we're going to have Y, yield, and I'm going to make that green. And so I'll just, again, trace through. So I've got one letter in the background. It'll help me make the next one the same size. There we go. Yield. So here we have it. P, R, A, and Y. And after that, all you need to do is write the other words, or you could draw pictures round about that will help you to do that thing. So pause, you might want to say, shut my eyes, or make sure I don't fiddle, or think about God, or maybe there's a song that you could put on in the background that helps you just to pause and slow down and focus on God. So do that for each of your letters, and then all you need to do is get them arranged in the right order. P, R, A, Y. And for them to open up the way that you want them to, okay, so that they can fold up like this, what I've done is I've put a split pin down in this back corner. So what you might find is that just to make the hole, I actually just used my scissors, or you can use a sharp pencil, but you might find you need to make the hole first, but then you can just push that pin through. If you haven't got one of these, you could just tie it around with a piece of thread or put a pipe cleaner through, and it means that it sort of opens up in that nice way so you can see the whole thing together, or you can have them all separately. And there we are. Pray, ready to help me pray this week without getting distracted. So I hope you enjoy praying this week. I hope you pray some big prayers full of faith and really enjoy rejoicing in God's presence. And I will see you again next week. Bye.
Jamie, are you going to fast?
Yes. Are you?
Nah,
Why?
I don't want to.
Why don't you want to?
Because I don't want to go the whole day without eating.
Lola. Weren't you listening? You don't have to go the whole day without eating. You can miss like a few meals, or one, like breakfast or lunch or dinner or even just a snack. And it's not just missing your meal. You have to pray to God at the time you miss that meal.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for clearing that up for me. I thought I was going to have to go the whole day without eating.
Well, you can, but maybe when you're older. And don't forget, when we're praying, we don't just speak to God. We let God speak to us. We should wait to see what God says to us. Imagine speaking to your friend or your parent, and they speak back, and you're not even listening. What's the point? When you pray, listen to what God has to say too.
Jamie, you really were listening, weren't you? Don't forget to break your fast, that is, stop your fast with prayer. That's it for this week.
Till next time, bye!